Today's Cowboys Report is presented by Kinzuri. Life is short, but you do not have to be. Change the game with Kinzuri's height-boosting shoes and get 15% off at kinzuri.com/chat. Tell you more about them later on in today's Rumors show. We'll break down signing Jarvis Landry, Tyler Smith comments, and more. But first, I would like to prove once and for all that the Cowboys are indeed America's team. So shout out your state in the comments section. I think we have a chance to have all 50 states covered off. So make sure you're repping your state. Shout it out in the comments section right now. Let's go to this idea of signing Jarvis Landry, which I have thoughts on. Heavy Sports suggested it, saying, the Cowboys should go get him. They get him cheap. He could be a great depth piece. He could play the T.Y. Hilton role, which I'm not really sure is accurate at all. Remember but last year, Landry was mentioned as a potential Cowboys target, and I didn't have much interest in him then, and I have even less interest in adding Jarvis Landry right now. I have no desire to pick up Landry. Now, I'll give the same platitude of, 1-year deal, little to no guaranteed money, super cheap, vetman, sure, that's always fine. Those are never bad ideas, but I don't really think that he brings much of anything to this team right now. I didn't want him last year either. Even though Dallas needed wide receiver help, I don't really think Landry would have provided that for two main reasons in terms of why I'm out on this version of Jarvis Landry. Number one, he's not good anymore. This is like the definition. If you go in the dictionary and see, what does regression look like? They will take this photo, they'll screenshot this from the Cowboys Report, put it in there. He has gone from 1,000 yards, 840, 570, 272, while missing more and more time each year. Jarvis Landry is no longer that 1,000-yard dynamic slot machine receiver that he once was. And, by the way, he's only a slot receiver. He doesn't offer you downfield threat. He doesn't offer you big plays on the outside. And slot receiver, especially with Cooks and Gallup on this team, is where Lamb has done most of his work. So you're adding a old, bad veteran backup behind CeeDee Lamb, and God forbid Brandon Cooks or Gallup go down. You don't have much there. And I kind of think Jalen Moreno-Cropper could maybe be your backup slot receiver if you needed to, and maybe wouldn't provide that much of a difference. I just don't see the benefit with the roster as it is currently constructed, adding an aging, declining veteran like Jarvis Landry. So I do want to hear from you guys, too, since that was fairly negative from me. Would you guys sign Jarvis Landry? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off with the pinned comment of today's video. If the ad plays on YouTube, ignore the ad. Go vote instead. Let's talk about some of the hype for Hunter Luepke, the UDFA running back / fullback back, is maybe what we'll call him from that perspective. Now, Mike McCarthy has used a fullback in the past. John Kuhn, remember him? And Luepke offers some of the short yardage ability and the potential to be a blocker that the Cowboys have not been able to replace with Ezekiel Elliott so far. He has a very real shot to make the roster. I had a draftable grade on Luepke coming out of North Dakota State, playing for the Bison, which I haven't done before for a fullback, because the ideal outcome, and it's probably not very likely, is a Kyle Juszczyk type of athlete where he can have handoffs, he can catch the ball. He actually still needs work as an actual blocker, which is the big area, but there is plenty of special teams value as well. You could see a scenario where he's RB4 and the Cowboys take maybe 3 tight ends instead of 4, and Sean McEwen ends up on the outside looking in of this roster. But Luepke, Vaughn, Jones, Davis, Dowdle, all of those guys are going to compete for a roster spot, and there's been plenty of buzz and noise about Luepke, the plan for him. Got some reps with the ones during minicamp and OTAs. He is definitely a player to watch among the UDFAs at training camp. We'll get to some more names on that front as well here. But first, today's show is presented by Kinzuri. If you've ever wished you were a little bit taller, maybe you matched on Tinder, but her profile says got to be over 6 feet. Yeah, that's rough for some, I know. Maybe your date wants to wear heels, but she can't because it'll make her taller than you, and that kind of throws off some power dynamics. Well, we got short kings covered with today's sponsor, Kinzuri. Kinzuri makes shoes that can make you up to 2.8 inches taller without anyone knowing. Girls get heels, makeup, push-up bras, and men deserve a confidence boost as well. Kinzuri shoes are not just height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They are not Grandpa's ugly Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that can get compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles are built into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. You know, my boy Mitchell Renz, before Kinzuri sponsor, wasn't engaged. After Kinzuri sponsor, is engaged. Coincidence? That's up for you to decide. But for a limited time only, listeners get an extra 15% off your order at kinzuri.com/chat. The site is already 30% off, but with our link, you get an extra 15%. That is 45% off your entire order. Support our show and check them out at conzuri.com/chat. Life is short. You don't have to be. Level up the playing field, boys. Update that dating profile to 6 foot and check out Kinzuri. Links in the comment section and the description of today's show. Before we get to Donovan Wilson buzz, I do want to mention some other top UDFAs to monitor. Maybe a couple of these guys make the roster. 2 receivers, Jalen Moreno-Cropper out of Fresno State. Other receiver, David Durden out of West Florida. 2 linemen, TJ Bass, who's a guard, and Earl Bostick, a tackle. Durrell Johnson and Tyrus Wheat are both edges. Monitor Isaiah Land. I think Dan Quinn likes him as a kind of a hybrid linebacker edge, going to get some linebacker run this year. And then Miles Brooks is the cornerback out of Louisiana Tech. Good names for the practice squad as well. But when it comes to the Cowboys' undrafted free agents this year, who's the one you are most excited about? You can only pick one name. No cheating and putting in multiple. I'll make it challenging on you guys. Go pick that one player right now in the comments. Donovan Wilson was named the one breakout player for the Cowboys by USA Today, which I was a little bit surprised by because I kind of thought Donovan Wilson had his breakout last year. He played a very critical and pivotal and impactful role for the Cowboys in 2022, finishing the season with 101 tackles. He had 7 TFLs, 5 sacks, 1 INT, 2 pass breakups. Legitimately put up a Pro Bowl caliber year in terms of what the Pro Bowl used to be valued at and not the modern day everyone gets in because no one wants to play in it. But I was very impressed by what Wilson did. But here's the argument from Katie Drummond, friend of the show, of USA Today, Cowboys Wire. A hard-hitting enforcer who is also capable in coverage, Wilson had over 100 tackles and brought the blitzing work as well with 5 sacks. Dallas runs a 3-headed safety approach, and Wilson is now the lead dog in the pack. Continued pass rush success and a couple more interceptions will place him on a national stage in 2023. I did think Wilson broke out last year. 100 tackles, bunch of TFLs, a couple sacks there. If he does add some more interceptions, then sure. I also understand the national approach angle of less of breaking out for the Cowboys, more breaking out in terms of who's known. I do think Donovan Wilson is an awesome football player who does not get any real buzz nationally because fans and media tend to follow interceptions at safety, maybe more so than tackles or TFLs. We'll have more Cowboys videos for you, including defensive breakout candidates coming in the not-too-distant future. So make sure you guys are subbed. Don't miss out. Click that sub button and make sure your noties are set to all. We'll wrap up today's show with some Tyler Smith conversation. He recently spoke about the possibility of playing left tackle or left guard this upcoming year for the Dallas Cowboys. He said he's prepared to play both spots. Now, the Cowboys last year threw a lot on Smith's plate of play left tackle, play left guard, learn this, learn that. And unlike Jalen Tolbert, he was not overwhelmed. He stepped up to that challenge and impressed in a way that I think was exceeding expectations for pretty much all of us. Here's what he said, asked, does it matter if you play left tackle or left guard? He says, it can't matter. The best thing for me, and Zach Martin talked about it last year, is just being comfortable at both spots. I feel like having those reps last year, being in those situations last year where I was switching back and forth, it really helped me as a player. I do think Tyler Smith has a really good head on his shoulders, and that matters a lot for a young player growing in the NFL. But if it's all even, where should Tyler Smith play? Left tackle or left guard? Go vote with an LT or an LG in the comment section. I think if you're maximizing your best 5, it looks like this. It's Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele with 2 Smiths and 2 Tylers, all bookend on the left side there. The issue you run into is this. Tyron Smith will not play all 17 games. There is simply no way that happens. So then who becomes your best sixth offensive lineman? Is it Matt Farniok? Is it Matt Waletzko? Is it Chuma Edoga? Depending on who that sixth is and where they can play would help influence where Tyler Smith ends up playing. I bet in the end he plays a lot at left tackle just because Tyron's not going to be healthy. And I thought he actually played a bit better at left tackle last year than left guard. There are still areas to improve, but the run blocking is really good. Gotta get beat a little bit less in pass protection. In theory, should get better in year 2 and year 3. Was still a bit of a penalty boy, just like he was at Tulsa. But the upside was very much on display for Tyler Smith, who I think has the ability to be your long-term franchise left tackle.